Alrighty.
All right.
Let us call to order. This is the June 3rd, 2026 Parks and Rec Advisory Board, a regular meeting. We'll have a call to order, and it is exactly 6:30. Let's do a roll call. Do you want to start? Mr. Hoffman?
Steve Dauphin.
Kyle McVeigh.
Alan Welch, Secretary.
Adriana Kulk, and I'm the chair. Are there any citizens' comments?
Good evening. I'm Isabel Reyes, 55 River Bluff here in Castroville. I just want to start off by saying that I've been a resident here in Castroville for 4 years, and I'm also a mother to a 23-year-old son with Down syndrome, and I'm also a small business owner, 3 to be exact, but my most recent business is CJ's Place. That's CJA apostrophe S, and it's located at Panther Plaza. I just recently opened. It's a program. It's an individualized skills and socializations program for adults that serves adults with intellectual developmental disabilities, special needs. So I wanted to, sorry, I took notes because I didn't want to forget. I just wanted to comment briefly on the splash pad at Lions Park. I know that you have the splash pad repaired topic on your agenda this evening. That is one of the reasons I wanted to be here this evening and to just make a comment. I wanted to share how important this amenity is for me as a resident and also now as a local business owner to this to CJ's as CJ's Place. My son, who has Down syndrome, and other family members and I use the splash pad regularly when it was operational. Today, I see even more value in having it repaired because of the adults that I serve. The adults who attend my center are active, mobile, and enjoy being out in the community. We also utilize Castroville Regional Park for walks, picnic lunches, and other outdoor activities. So these park resources are very important to us. While the community pool is a wonderful asset and one that my family will continue to enjoy, it requires a different level of supervision for group outings. So the splash pad is often a safer, more simpler, and more practical option for programs like mine. I simply just wanted to make the board aware that this amenity is valued, it is needed, and is absolutely going to be used. I'm hopeful it can be repaired and returned to service soon so that families, residents, and organizations as mine can benefit from it this summer and beyond. So thank you to the Parks and Recreation Department, your maintenance staff, and of course the volunteers who keep the parks clean and of course always cared for. I won't be able to stay for the rest of the meeting, so thank you for your time.
Thank you. for
Thank
your
you.
comments.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I know you're not supposed to a citizen.
Well, it's on the agenda anyway, the
Okay.
line, the splash pad.
But you can say again where you're located.
Oh, I live here, 55
Right,
River
right.
Bluff, but my business is Panther Plaza on Highway 90 West, 2439 US Highway 90 West. It's the little business,
Strip center, right?
right, the blue and white business strip
Okay,
center
okay.
heading, yes, right outside the light, like a mile up from, on the right-hand side from the light.
And it's called CJ.
CJ's Place,
CJ's
CJA apostrophe S
Okay.
Place,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. That's because I have somebody that, or know of somebody that might be interested in.
absolutely. I have Facebook page too.
Oh, good, good. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank y'all so much. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Anything else? All right, number 4A is approve the minutes for March 18th. And that was in the packet. Was there any other comments? They're very old minutes because we had a technical problem. Okay, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve all the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And then we have the minutes for May the 6th, which was just last month. I think I just sent you a few comments, right? So there wasn't anything else. Anything in that motion?
That we approve the minutes for May 6th, 2026.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for making minutes. We'll do 5A is discuss and take appropriate action on the Lions Park proposed shade structure. Jonah graciously got some quotes, and that was in the packet.
Yes, good evening. I was trying to pull them up, but I guess this dongle's not working, so I'll try the other one. But yes, thank you.
So this was ongoing from, we talked about this last month,
Mhm.
and we got feedback from the Custerville Special Events group about that they would like to donate some. But it was good to have some quotes and to see larger structures that we talked about last time. And Donna and I actually went out and kind of measured and walked around the splash pad in particular. The trees are going to take a while before they show
Yeah.
anything.
And I think one of the things too, and I think mentioned at the last meeting by now Councilwoman Schreiner was the triangular sail shades. The cost for those were actually a lot more expensive than we had anticipated. So that's kind of why in the packet you've got the original two, and then we added one more. And that larger one was, let's see here, just under $10,000. So having said that, and kind of going off of the splash pad repairs that are underway this week, according to Advanced Aquatics, it would definitely benefit and help the individual users or all users that are going to be there at Lions Park and at the splash pad having that shade structure. So we have some funds that have been donated from the Castroville Special Events, and then they're in the Park Special Projects Fund, so those are allocated already. And then Arnie has already mentioned that the board is looking at maybe making another donation towards those projects. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'd like some guidance from the board on if you want to go with one over the other, and then how do we pay for that shade structure with funds from the Park Special Project Fund, or do we want to send a letter to the Castroville Special Events, see if they can make that other donation? How do we want to move forward with that?
Out of these options, when you guys went and looked at like space wise, is there anything that looks like it would fit better than others?
I think all three of them would fit really well. It really just comes down to space and how much are you trying to fit underneath these shade structures. The pad leading up to the splash pad, so I think it's like a 20 by 15 space. I think really you can fit 4 picnic tables underneath that. Depending on the angle of the sun and where it's at the time of the day, it's really gonna, throw that shade wherever. So some of those picnic tables might not be covered during this time of day versus the other time of the day. I mean, it is what it is, but at least there's going to be shade, elsewhere. So, kind of to your point as well, I would recommend going with the larger one, putting that first, and then work on smaller ones later on. Because the last thing I want to do is add a whole bunch of small ones, and then, at least we already have a foundation. We can put that larger one on there, and then build out from there.
We looked at the entrance. Did you say that about the entrance just to the splash pad off the parking lot? It's pretty wide, so it could take this. I didn't know if you had the dimensions on here. Yeah, was that
the orange one fits within the 20 by 15.
Okay. Are you just dealing with a dongle still?
Yeah.
Jonah, can you pull up the pictures?
I'm going to try. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Oh, well, all right. If that doesn't work, then.
And they were just working. We had training in here the other day, so.
What kind of foundation are you gonna have for these?
Well, some of them they can be surface mounted, or we would just pothole where the pole would go, and then set the poles, and then put the posts in there.
And how secure is this going to be? Like, could somebody come at night and just pop stuff?
No. So it's a similar product than what we have at the pool. The cell shade there, we potholed in the cement. We cut out the cement. We put the poles in there, re-cemented, and then put up the structure. They're not going anywhere. I mean, the only thing that's going to take them is either somebody with a lot of willpower to just cut them, or wind. I mean, but they're pretty well rated.
What about
What about them?
Well, how are they attached? I mean,
They have like a tension cable that goes around them on the bottom, and then they're just tensioned together. If we need to replace the fabric, you just open up that tension and then replace the fabric, and then you're set. The bones themselves are very limited in terms of what you need to do in terms of replacement.
And I've seen these at parks all over. This is kind of like the new way everybody's heading. And
Yeah.
I don't, there's not a whole lot of reason somebody would want to take that.
oh, trust me.
Well-
With the summer heat and not having shade, somebody might go, there's not too many people over here, and this might be a good thing to, because there's, I mean, we don't have any kind of security there or anything like the regional park. At least you, with the pool and everything, you have fencing or whatever. Like that.
Sure. Yeah, no, these, I mean, like I said, they're not easily removed. So, I mean, if they were bolted down surface mounted, shade structures, then yes, I agree. And then even at that point, we can still, there are ways that we can help protect it. But these would be in ground mounted.
And that sounds good. How long is the top guaranteed for?
I would have to look at the specifics on that. I know the one that's down there in the pool, I think it's going on year 4 and it's looking really well. And that one is a teal colored roof. This is just a sample color. This is not the final product on what we would get.
But they do have a warranty coverage for the cover, but we just don't know how much.
Yes, I can look it up right now.
Would you prefer the cantilever square and to move those in different spots, or the rectangle one, the big one that would fit?
That is, I would leave that to you all, to y'all's discretion. You let me know what y'all want to put out there. I mean, in terms of maintenance, they're very low maintenance. So we can have 2 smaller ones, or we can have 1 larger one. It doesn't matter on our side.
I like the rectangle over the small square, the one that like fits in the tables. That's not like a huge, it's not covering a big space. Not that one. That one.
This one, yeah, that's not.
I like the rectangle over that. I also like that the rectangle only has 2 anchors.
Mhm.
Is that the right word?
2 poles.
2 poles.
Mhm.
It gives you a lot of room to put things kind of under and absorb all that shade.
No, this would.
Will they block out the rain?
They're a cell shade, so they're not going to block out all of the rain, but they will help filter some of it in.
Like if it's drizzling, people don't need to.
Right.
They can still be under. The bigger square shade with a pole on the side is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm just, which is the most cost effective versus biggest?
The other option was to put this cantilever one was to put it on like the corners of the splash pad,
Mhm.
the southern corners of it,
I like that idea too.
and then he can move those large stones around to make more space under there, because those aren't mounted on anything. The stones that border the splash pad.
Yeah, they're just sitting on a footer, so we can pick those up and move those somewhere else in the park or on the pad. So the butter blocks or the butter sticks that kind of create a fence, we'll say, those can all be moved, essentially.
It would be really nice to have some shade on the splash pad.
Or you could, 3 times 7. That's 20.
In this last storm that we had in the things down at the pool that were all, did you have any issues with any things flying around or whatever?
No, the only issue that we had, and we kind of, this is kind of where we learn from our mistakes. When we put it up, we did not align the top plate, and so there's 2 plates that connect, and I think we put it together first before aligning them. So we were off just a little bit. We got it, but somebody had the bright idea. It was like we should just put it all together first, so then that way you wouldn't have any issues. But
Well, I was just thinking on the ones that you're thinking about putting a splash pad and stuff like that, especially on a single pole, what's to prevent something getting up under it and, you know, I mean, just.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty sturdy. It's gonna be like a lot of wind that's gonna take that.
We had a lot.
No, I understand, and the one at the pool has weathered through it all
Okay.
so far. You know, so
What's tomorrow will be?
yeah. Sorry, say.
My mother-in-law got one of these, like a big rectangle, and it's just faded a little bit.
How long was she had?
I don't know, it's been a while, and I feel like it's this kind of construction.
Did she like it?
Yeah, it's a hot spot.
Do we have a total amount of money that we're working with, or we're just
So-
decide what we want and then?
Yeah, so we've got the $5,000 that was donated last year. We've got that, and then we've got the unallocated funds in the Park Special Project Fund,
Which was 19.
approximately. And then we've also gotten word from the Castroville Special Events Group that they're looking to donate additional funds, whether it's to Lions Park or another park. So we've got kind of three areas that we could pull from, essentially. And I think we have a spokesperson from that group here.
Can somebody speak during this versus like city council? You can't speak unless you sign up. I want to speak while the topic's on the agenda.
As long as the board president's okay with
It's
that.
fine.
Ignore
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
Is it recorded or I can just sit back here and talk loud or whether you
Helen's
Oh,
mode is to sit back there, but if you'd like to be on the video.
Just a couple of comments. Kind of what you're talking about. Yeah, so far Castroville Special Events has not had a meeting, even though one of our board members asked me yesterday, I think it was, when are we gonna have one to decide when we're giving the money to the city from the tour? And I said, well, mostly waiting to see what goes on tonight, what suggestions are. Adriana, I've talked some about size, and I don't know, I didn't call the school district like we had talked about, like they have at the playgrounds that are huge, 4 steel posts holding them up, and they're 30 by 30 feet or whatever it may be, to see what the price was. And last year when the $5,000 was given to the Parks Fund, it was specifically identified to be spent on a canopy at Lions Park, whether that meant a baby one or a big one or whatever it amounted to be. I would say with the money from this current tour to Castroville, there probably would be about another $5,000 that would probably be talked about to be donated to the fund. And part of what the two of us have kind of spoken about a little bit was, if that's something you come up with and it's like, oh yeah, whether it was $7,000, $10,000, whatever a number was, canopy, that we would earmark it again, that it'd be given to the park fund, and then that it'd be restricted to being purchasing the canopy or whatever it may be. And I know when the two of us talked, I mentioned about checking with Toby Kennedy at the school district just to see if they had a price and what they put up at the different schools. And I didn't get around to catching up with him. I called a couple of times and he was always out, and he said I wouldn't be bothering him, so to speak. But yeah, at this point, that's kind of where we as a group. Now, I'm not a voting member. I'm not a board member. I just created the thing and deal with it. But the 3 board members, we keep bouncing around, not an official meeting, but it'd be like, talk to this one, talk to that one. They talk to each other. But that's kind of where we are as of probably Monday afternoon. Like, when are we going to meet? When are we going to give the money away? When are we going to do this? I said, if we just want to wait and see what you guys as a board may come up as a recommendation. So that's where it stands at this point. And to me, just have nothing to do directly with any of it other than deal with the funds. But to me, it would make more sense if you're going to do the splash pad. And I have no idea what it costs, but like get a big one over the splash pad. If it's 20 by 40 feet, or if it's 90 by 50 or whatever the dimensions are, see what the price is. And then when the chair and the Joan and I have talked some, it would be there's other options that may be going through special events, nothing to do with the Tour de Castroville, but us applying for some other things or another entity. And whatever, it's been 2 years since we had the ribbon cutting at Lions Park just to dedicate the park. The Lions Club, which there still is a Lions Club, a member of one in Castroville. At that point, just before the ribbon cutting and all that, we were working through the Lions District, which physically basically is like Seguin to Del Rio to Eagle Pass to Laredo and so forth. So it's a huge geographical group. They have a fund for doing these types of things, and the state Lions Club also has a foundation for doing this. And we had a man from Waco designated to help us write a grant specifically dealing with Lions Park. And about 3 or 4 days before he and I were going to meet, he fell over dead from a heart attack. And so at this point, that hasn't proceeded because it was kind of like wait and see what goes on with Lions Park. So that's another option that I have mentioned, that personally I'm still involved with the Lions District and Lions International and everything else. But if there was some idea that, oh yeah, we need X, we could help. And another example was the $50,000 that was spent on the 50 trees that were planted, separate from the Boy Scout trees and all that kind of stuff. That ran through Castroville Special Events, and it originated from Microsoft, going through a different mechanism that they and other huge corporations give through an entity called Benevity. And you have to be certified with Benevity every year, and ours runs out the end of June if I don't get certified. I mean, you just fill out some more electronic forms and you're certified again to be a recipient of funds. So there's other options, but again, I don't know numbers of if you need $5 or $5 million. I mean, that kind of a thing. But I know, again, I would personally deal with working with Lions Foundation of Texas and the district group, and yes, with the Tour de Castroville funds. So other than that, I don't know if you have any questions or comments, but I mean, that's kind of where we, however you look at it, meaning to me, the Lions Club and all that.
So how long do you think it's going to take to finish the repair on the splash pad?
So they are scheduled to be out here this week, and I know it's already Wednesday. So they emailed me today. They're supposed to be out there this week to start getting those repairs finished up.
Just now starting.
No, the initial ones are done. The sewer line and the water line are done. But now that the system's been pressurized, there are other repairs that need to be made. So that's where it's kind of like the phase 2 of the repairs, because we didn't know what other repairs need to be done until the system was pressurized.
My comments on the splash pad about covering the whole thing. The splash pad itself, the water is cooling. So I hesitate to put shade over the whole thing because they're already in a cooling part. I feel like the rest of the people in the park need a more shaded area. I wouldn't want people to start parking out on the splash pad because there's shade there.
Yeah.
Without water. So I don't know. I kind of lean to shading part of it, and then putting shade elsewhere for people that are in the park to enjoy.
Well, and the thing to that point, I agree. And to that point, that's where we would ideally try to phase some of the shading into it. Start off with the big one in the center, provide the shade for mom and dad who is not going to be playing on the splash pad. And then later on down the road, as more users come out, then we look at, okay, maybe we need to put little shade structures in this corner or this corner, and then people can use the rocks themselves as seating. And then it's more of like a seating area, and we still leave the picnic tables underneath this larger one, because other poles can be in ground mounted again. So we could just cut out where we needed to go in the grass, set our pole, and then have that same cantilever, like now that this is up and working, have this on the corners, so then that way you provide shade on the pad, you provide shade just off the pad. And then 2, hopefully the trees will start to grow more, in which they become more mature, more fuller, and then we have, more shade outside in the grassy area.
I know Jonah and I've talked very briefly, and this came from some other citizens, had nothing to do with the splash pad per se. It was like, there's no shade anywhere in the park. And if we had picnic tables around, it'd be nice to have shade for people to go out and sit there, have a picnic, or if they're walking around the walking trail, stop and see it. So I said, well, all I can do is pass it on, and I know both of them again have heard me make that comment. So
It's kind of
I guess from my point, Lions Club, however you want to look at anything I'm tied in with, it would be if you guys have some guidance on, yeah, we prefer this, or here's the cost, and we'd like to get X amount or get support. I would, from the Lions Club, it'd just be me dealing with the Lions of Texas, but it's something to do through special events.
Yeah.
I'd have to talk to the others.
Well, I'd
Pretty
love to
much.
pursue seeing what grant options are available from the Lions Club, depending on which level, and work on that through the rest of the year into the new year. Like, because I know it takes a while to write it all up. And
But yeah, like I mentioned to you, they would need to know, here's a specific project, not
Yeah.
just,
Right.
we want $50,000 or
Yeah.
something. And
No,
we'll
I was
figure out
saying
what to do with it.
if y'all would want more of
That would
a,
come from you guys to say, here's what our priorities are.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much the multi-court surface, hard court surface would be, but there's that, or like the pavilion would be something that may be grant worthy.
Yeah.
And up to tens of thousands of dollars instead of, this is like $10,000.
Yeah. So one thing that we also want to take into consideration is, we've got the grant for the all-inclusive playground and those features. So we don't want to put something too large that we're going to have to move. But we want to, I would say, I think the second one is large enough to fit on the pad that's right there. And then two, just because we're talking about splash pad doesn't mean, like Arnie's point, something like this could go along the trail that's currently there over one of the benches. I think there's 2 or 3 benches that are along the trail. So something like this could go over there, along the trail, and then that way we can phase it out and we can just kind of grow the footprint of these.
Once you set them up, can you take them and move them?
You technically can, yes. If they're surface mounted, those are going to be the easiest. You just have to get yourself a pad and some studs, and then just mount it onto that. If you do in-ground mounted, they're going to be a little bit more complex. You're going to have to take out all of the concrete that you put in there, but it's not impossible. So
I think it would be nice to get started with 1 or 2.
okay. Do you have a preference over 1 or 2?
I kind of like the big one at the entrance, and
Okay.
then later add these smaller ones on
Okay.
the corners or wherever in the park. But I think if Custerville special events and the 5,000 from last year would cover the entrance one, this orange one.
Okay.
Not that it's going to be orange.
And that's the one that's about 10,000.
Yes.
It's hard to accept that much money going into something that's. It looks flimsy, but I know you say it's very.
Well, and I would invite you.
I think those
I
posts
know
are
it
like
looks flimsy
10
to you.
by
If you were to
10.
see one, they really are very secure.
Yeah, and I would invite you over to the pool, and we'll take a look at that one that's there. Because like I said, it is very. It's pretty solid. I'll pull it up, and maybe I'll show you. Maybe it's just a picture.
I've made a comment, which I've made a comment to the school district. All of their canopy tops are black. And who in South Texas or anywhere in the middle of summer is gonna sit under a black canopy top that's absorbing heat rather than making it orange or green or whatever color to help, or white or something, blue would be reflective of a lot of it. And since their poles are orange that hold it up, and the canopies are black.
So I don't know if you can see. 'Cause they're very sturdy. They're very very hefty.
That one angle just.
Yeah, and that's on me then. Yeah, but they're not going anywhere. Like I said, it's going to take an act of God for it to be moved.
And it says spec to 90-mile-an-hour wind loads, and I don't think we get more than 60. It'd have to be a tornado right there or something.
Yes, you should hit it.
Or car.
It has to be that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
softball field's still standing.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait until you see water coming out of the splash pad successfully?
Yes,
Like,
yeah, that's what we'll do. Is I'm gonna wait till construction's done with the repairs on the. I say construction. The repairs are done on the splash pad before we start this next project. Just so that way, in case we have to come back in with material to fill in the holes or whatever, they can easily access it. They're not having to work around this shade structure.
You guys install that?
Yes,
They
Okay.
do a lot of stuff.
yeah. And like I said, we learn from our.
Yeah. You did once before, right?
Yes.
You probably, do you need some kind of a motion though? from us?
Yes, I would like a motion. And again, this can all be phased out. So if we are not comfortable on doing two right now, I would say let's just start with the one. We've identified the location being at that pad right in front, leading up to the splash pad, and then reach out to Castroville Special Events about that other donation and go from there.
Would someone like to craft a motion? All that. Just repeat. And obviously pending the repairs.
Yes.
Thank you, Arnie, for that extra explanation. Keep everybody up to date.
So I make a motion to purchase the cantilever. Do you need the size and the specs and everything?
No, we'll just go based off of the one that's on here.
The
this is-
rectangular cantilever and install at the at Lions Park.
Yeah, and using the CSE, Castro Special Events
Funds.
funds in the special project fund in particular. And then pending splash pad repairs. Successful, hopefully, and quick.
They're gonna be successful, one way or the other.
I hope it's not delayed, though, like 3 weeks or something on that order.
We'll get it done.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Arnie, do you need official letter, or is that enough information for you? Okay.
Yes. Well, it'll be official enough for us, we'll give them before we come in, so we can discuss it. Like I said, we've already talked about it. Not an official meeting, but just.
Yeah.
Here's what I think done to do. And somebody said no.
Okay.
So,
Well, we appreciate the generosity of y'all's organization.
that's why I wanted to work with everybody. Where are we going from here? But anyway. Soon.
Which I guess is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You're trying to give money away, right, Arnie?
All right. I will.
Thank you, Arnie.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank y'all.
Anybody have any questions about anything else with Lions Park? And you might have an update too.
Yes, I'll definitely. As we get this ball rolling, now that y'all made the action, we'll get a color palette over so that way we can decide on colors if we want to keep it blues, teals.
And we have to
Um,
coordinate it
I was
somewhat
gonna say we
with
might
the.
want to remember what we decided for the playground.
Yes, so I'll make sure that we have the both playground colors and then also splash pad colors. That way they don't clash. Great.
Be rainbow. All right. Is everyone ready for 5B? Discuss and take appropriate action on the draft parkland ordinance for subdivisions. That doesn't make sense what it's worded. Oh, for subdivisions, an update with Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations. I talked with Brianna, and we're not going to need to take any action this evening. I wanted to give a quick update. The Planning and Zoning, I had a good discussion, and I was present to help guide it, like answer questions and things. And they had some good feedback. They liked the overall format or the content of the recommendation that we made. The other thing that got added on was from council was specifying that at least 65% of the dedicated parkland be usable, buildable land, because there's not a number in what we provided. And they also gave more feedback just to provide more clarification on what's expected for some of these requirements that we had in there. So like, what are actual amenities that we would consider that they're going to dedicate, or how does the a park that is owned by an HOA work with the public and private? Like, what needs to be considered public access and what needs to be considered private? So if a dedication comes and it's most of it's under HOA, then part of it still needs to be accessible by the public. So we could put that kind of language in the ordinance. The other thing was making sure that the parkland dedication wasn't too small. So I that all that kind of feedback, Brianna's combing through it and she's going to update it, and we'll review it and bring it back for us, and then it'll go back to P&Z and then the council. So it's a little bit slow, but I think it's important to kind of be thoughtful about it, because this one hasn't been updated in over a decade, maybe, or about 10 years since it's been last touched.
Tell them what you put down in writing and have to go about it,
Yeah.
pretty much. So it's
And
good to check.
it's kind of it can get really long really fast, so we're trying to walk that line too, not making it over the top, because you can't plan for everything. So hopefully that will come back in the July meeting, and we can provide any other feedback that we want to P&Z. 5C is discuss and take appropriate action on the community center policy updates. And that went to the Friends group, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this one might be a little lengthy, but after some discussion at the last Parks Board meeting, this document went to the Friends of the Castroville Regional Park for review and recommendation. They recommended it and approved it with those changes for the decorations and the BYOB policy. So I have those minutes attached here at the end of my report. But yeah, the Friends like it. They did have some questions. They called me. I was not able to attend, but they did call me and they had some questions about specifics. And I shared with them, hey, yeah, this is what we're trying to do. We don't want it to be too heavy-handed to where nobody can, specifically for the decorations, nobody can not put up any decorations. We want to make sure that it's a usable space, and we're not just. We understand it's a new building, but we also want to make sure that it can be decorated too for different events. So that's kind of where those in the packet, that's where you'll see some of the stuff in here. Again, we did change some formatting just to kind of try to shorten up this document. There were some hanging paragraphs, so we try to keep it all on one pagers, so that way it's easy to print, easy to read. We obviously updated facility capacity to 173 people. Restrooms, it shows just 3 interior restrooms. I think the original document that I shared with you all had, interior restrooms, exterior restrooms, pool restrooms. Again, we're just trying to simplify for the use of the community center or the multi-room space. There are still some highlighted areas that we'll have to figure out. So again, reservations online, we still need to put that portion on the Civic Rec site live, so we haven't filled that in. Same thing with an email. Who is going to be the main point of contact for reservations, whether it's myself or whether it's Sandy. Again, it might also be a generic email. That way we don't have to change it every time that there's some type of turnover. Not that I'm planning on leaving or Sandy's planning on leaving, but just,
Can you make just a community center or something?
That's what I think.
Pool or-
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to VC3 like we have pool at CastrovilleTX.gov. I think we also had special events at CastrovilleTX.gov. So something generic like that, community center at Castroville, where everything can just be funneled through there and accessed through other users. Rental rates, nothing changed there. I have to get with Devin. Whenever he did this, he left some of these blanks. I don't know if they're blanks because we're also going to use this document whenever people are renting, so we can fill it in. So I need to get some clarification on that. Same thing. I've not done a count yet on tables and chairs, but basically it'll be enough to cover 173 people because that's going to be the capacity of the community center. This is again where those changes were going to be at in here. So the decorations policy we changed. So to protect the facility and ensure safety, decorations may not damage or deface any part of the facility. Nails, screws, staples, tacks, glues, or the permanent fasteners are prohibited. Only approved temporary fastening materials such as blue painter's tape or removable adhesive strips may be used in designated areas with prior approval. So a lot of this is going to just go down to whenever we walk the community center with that renter, we're going to let them know, again, based on this policy, this is where you can, this is where you can't. You can't cover emergency exits. You can't cover doors. You can put stuff over the doors, over the windows, but all of that still needs to be accessible. Same thing with fire extinguishers, same things with emergency routes. Decorations, again, all decorations must be freestanding or installed only in approved locations. Prohibited confetti, glitter, rice, birdseed, sand, loose decorative materials, natural artificial flower petals, sparklers, fireworks, pyrotechnics, smoke fog machines, open flames, incense, or combustible materials. Candles, battery operated candles are permitted. And then the other big one was going to be the balloon policy. Balloons, air-filled balloons are permitted. Helium balloons are permitted only when securely anchored with weights. Confetti-filled balloons and balloon releases are prohibited. All decorations, materials, and equipment must be removed immediately following the event. Renters are responsible for any damage or excessive cleanup resulting from the decorations. So that was the main section that was changed from the original document, and some back and forth between us, the board, staff, and the friends. So I think that's a little bit easier to follow and more user friendly. The other change is going to be for alcohol. So my recommendation, and I need to get with, again, this is going to go to council. It's going to ultimately be council's decision. But the original document prohibits a BYOB policy. I'd like to see if maybe we would recommend or look at having a BYOB policy. My changes there highlighted. The city permits bring your own beverage service for approved private events held within designated community center rental spaces. The renter is solely responsible for compliance with all applicable federal, state, and local laws regarding the possession and consumption of alcohol beverages. Alcohol may not be sold unless all required permits and approvals are obtained. Service to minors is strictly prohibited. The city reserves the right to require security personnel, proof of insurance, and additional conditions based on the size and nature of the event. So again, it's up to the board if you guys want to have a BYOB, allow BYOB. If you do not, then we can keep the prohibited BYOB policy as it sits.
So you want one of these two sections?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
If I rented it with BYOB, am I still gonna have to provide law enforcement security?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Outside of that, those are the only two major changes. The security staffing guideline here, 0 to 100 guests, 1 officer, 101 to 152, and then 151 to max is 3. Outside of that, everything else has stayed the same. Again, I did adjust some of the formatting just so that way it looks a little bit easier, and is a little bit more printer friendly. The only thing that I did not have a chance to change is going to be the facility map. I had told you all at the last meeting that I was going to just color code basically like 3 areas or 4 areas, instead of having all the different colors. Basically, conference room, park admin would all be one color. Pool restrooms would be another color, and then the multi-purpose room, including those restrooms, the storage area, and the catering kitchen would be the other, and then the trail restroom would be separate. Just so that way it's easier. People don't think that they can use all of these different spaces. The rentable space would be the highlighted space that they have.
Jonah, I had sent some feedback.
Yes.
So to put it in comparison to like the park, in the parks policy, does it say alcohol prohibited at all times?
Essentially, yes, it does say that alcohol is prohibited at all times, but there is a caveat for special events that they could submit a request, like for the Beer and Wine Fest that the Chamber holds, July 4th, there are special events that we allow alcohol in the park.
I guess that's kind of what I was thinking if somebody wanted to do something that's prohibited within this, do we even need to put it? Or if someone could ask, or just something that's like, if you wanted to do something outside of our rules,
Mm-hmm.
that it, you can seek approval.
Yeah,
You can
and
still say no, but
yeah, agreed. And I think that, and yeah, I did read your email, and I thought I covered everything in it with this because
Okay.
basically the city would have final say for something. So if we, again, it's a city facility. So if for some reason they say, hey, you know what? Let's say board says and council says no, prohibited BYOB. Somebody could obviously make a special request and say, hey, you know, this is why we would like to have BYOB X, Y, and Z. Council can say no, or even the board, depending on if it needs to go to council. I don't think it would need to go to council. I think the board could have that final say, or even staff might be able to have that final say.
You've covered it all about the BY. I mean, you've got everything, the
Mhm.
security, all the permits and everything like that. So I don't think it would be bad to have it. And they wouldn't have to come and ask for something special. If they would apply, they'd have to follow all of this. And if they don't, then they can't do it.
Correct.
But yeah, that's a lot of things. If you want to have a BYO, you're going to have to hustle to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just to make sure I understand the language, if you'd have to have like a bartender basically either serve alcohol or you don't do it at all.
Correct.
Or now we're saying you can have this actual licensed person, or you can bring your own and do it
Mhm.
yourself if you have security.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to need security whether you have alcohol, no matter what. But with the two, it's either you cater out the alcohol service to somebody, which would be an additional cost to that person, and then they might say, you know what, I'm just going to go somewhere else. Or because they're not selling the alcohol, they have it where we put the responsibility back on the renter. You have to be there the whole time during your event if you're going to be serving alcohol. And the officers will have that authority to say, hey, you know what? That's it. There's no more alcohol service. Hey, you know what? We see minors drinking alcohol. You guys just go ahead and pack up and go because you're in violation of this policy.
So how much is it to hire a security officer? I've never priced it.
I think I want to say it's like $50 an hour or so. I think that's what we have for July 4th. Pricing is all going to be different, you know, depending on who
That's
you ask.
reasonable,
But
'cause I know it's, to have
Mhm.
a licensed caterer to
Mhm.
do it, that's another fee.
yeah, so again, we're trying to make sure that we can rent out the space to different organizations or individuals, and you know, we want to make sure that we can get a return on it. So
Okay.
I'm in favor of going with that one that you highlighted.
Okay. then I'll make the final revision as long as the board is okay and you all approve it. I'll put it in the second June meeting for council. They'll be able to they've not seen this yet, unless it may have been in my reports, but they'll be able to see it. They'll be able to give feedback, and then it'll probably have to come back maybe for final approval at the July meeting, depending on how council wants to move forward with it.
I forgot to mention that the new council liaison is here, Mr. Ship. Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Do you want a motion about this one, or are you just gonna?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
If y'all are okay with the motion, I'll make that change, and then I'll submit it to council's meeting.
So how would you like the motion to say that we?
That you approve the
Approve this
community center policy with the recommended changes of allowing a BYOB policy.
So
Thank you.
that was easy.
All in favor,
Oh, you need to.
or a second? Sorry.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're all unanimous. Helen said she wasn't able to attend this evening. Did you want to do anything for the Friends update, or she gave me? She said just June the 20th was a work session in the park.
Right, no, some big deal.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I think they didn't have very much this past month. We did not host a work session this past month because they were doing a trail workshop. So they did that with the Texas, I believe it was the Texas Conservation Corps, and they did some work over there by the Scout Pavilion, is what I understood. So
All right. If you want to do 6B update from the Parks and Rec director.
Yes, thank you. So I'll keep this again short and sweet. We've got my monthly report for May of 2026. Community center construction. Construction is still underway. Overall, the project is 94% complete. Project has been moving along well considering the, supposed to say, rain delays that we've received lately. Substantial completion has been pushed to June 12th with owner move-in on June 24th. This was as of today. Community center policy, we've already discussed that, but the Friends of the Castro Regional Park has reviewed the recommended changes and approved them at their May 17th meeting. If these changes are accepted and approved by the board, which they were, I would send them to City Council for review and future approval. Pool, shower, restroom building. The final plans have been issued with slight modifications to the toilet rooms. Plumbing fixtures needed to be moved around and grab bars extended for ADA compliance. I don't have the plans in front of me, but basically whenever we had that first set of plans that they had come out with, it was not ADA compliant for the 2 single toilet rooms on the right-hand side of the building. So they readjusted, I think they had toilet sink together on the back wall. They readjusted where the toilet's on the back wall and then the sink is closer to the door to allow for that ADA compliance. Basically, they just needed more room to move around. There's been no changes to the amount of fixtures, just relocations of some plumbing. A formal change order from Frontera was sent over and will be ready for signatures. City Council approved the $209,373 change order at their May 26th meeting. City Council did have some questions about Division 1 and Division 10 of this change order. I did get some feedback back, and the only reason I have this in there is one, so that you guys are aware, and then two, it's going to go back into council's packets as my monthly update so they can see what Division 1 and Division 10 are. Division 1 covers the additional general requirements, general conditions needed to perform the next phase of the work. This includes items such as project supervision, coordination, and other job site related support costs necessary to properly manage and execute the work. Division 10 covers the restroom specialty items. This would include items such as toilet accessories, grab bars, mirrors, dispensers, baby changing stations, and similar items typically supplied by manufacturers. BMA agreement.
You could forward.
I'm sorry?
Is a change order just like a contract?
Essentially, yes,
So,
ma'am.
do you have like the latest plans
Yes,
on them?
Mhm.
Okay. Could you send those?
absolutely.
Be curious.
BMA agreement. So I attended the May meeting, and I'm also planning on attending their June meeting, which is next week, to discuss the trail access. At the May meeting, BMA's attorney recommended that the board table the item so that he could review the agreement more extensively. The two changes that council had put in this draft or this new update was the initial term being for 5 years. If the city was to put in these gates, they wanted to protect that. So being that the initial term be for 5 years, and that if BMA or the city ends up canceling this contract within those 5 years, BMA would reimburse the city that the cost for the fencing or the gates. The board agreed to table, but not after some discussion. So there was some discussion had. They asked about the quotes. What were the ranges? The lowest being about 6,000, the highest being just under 16,000. We were going to kind of go right in the middle one, which was, I believe, De La Garza Fencing Supply in San Antonio. Theirs was around $13,000 was their quota, if I remember correctly. I did get some emails back and forth from the attorney since our meeting, and he would like to remove that reimbursement clause. If I go to the meeting on Monday of next week at BMA, if I'm on their meeting, hopefully I am, I'll have an opportunity to ask them if we remove that clause, can we keep the initial 5-year term and then have single year terms after that? Because if we end up having just 1-year terms, I don't know if council will go for that. So, but I also understand where BMA is coming from. You know, the city was supposed to do stuff 25 years ago and they didn't. So, I mean, I don't know who they can blame and say, oh, well, the city should have been on top of it. But again, it's a partnership, you know. So I think we got to work together on this. The other thing that one of the directors had commented on was that he was not in favor of helping the city at all. He made that very abundant and clear. He said that the city is not helping anybody in Regional Park. We do not allow the lights to stay on past 9 o'clock. We're charging people to play soccer. And, I don't think it was my place to correct him on that, but we do allow the lights to stay on past 9. And the cost that we put onto the soccer association was to help offset the maintenance costs. So, I mean, again, soccer originally, when we were talking about this $20 increase, they had sponsorships. The sponsorships could have helped cover a portion of that cost. Instead, soccer just put that cost onto the parents. So it's kind of one of those things where maybe there's a mix-up in communications, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I'm at the meeting next week. If not, then I'll come before council and talk to them about these changes that they would like to see. Splash pad, the repairs are still underway. Unfortunately, the repairs that were initially made are complete, but after the pressure test, there were more problems that arose. We are working on a solution and hope to have the splash pad up and running soon. So kind of in that, when we pressurize the system, we obviously knew that there were going to be a couple of leaks on the inside manifold. However, whenever we started running to each fixture, right away, 2 fixtures had leaks underneath the slab. So those 2 needed to be repaired. We still had issues with the west side of the pad not getting water at all. And we had the meter running. So we know that that water was going somewhere. Unfortunately, we don't know where. So I am working with Advanced Aquatics. They said they were going to be out again this week to try to make those repairs.
They would have done that a year ago.
You're telling me.
I know.
Yeah.
Because it all goes back, everybody thinks, well, we're not doing that.
Exactly. No, and I was looking back at some emails, and I reached out to them 5 months ago about trying to get this going. So it's just one of those things, unfortunately.
And they're honoring a warranty, right?
Mm-hmm. September Square, we have no change on that.
You
I'm
haven't
sorry.
gotten any, I guess they are funded, but they have to purchase all the equipment.
I believe so, yes. Mm-hmm. The last time I heard, they were still looking for some funding, but everything they said was good to go.
Okay.
Programs and events for May, we had our first Otters meet on May 30th. Upcoming events, we have citywide yard sale this weekend.
Well, don't skip over that, Jonah.
What's that?
The first Otters meet went very well.
Yes.
The pool looked very nice. I mean, some of the parents just looked like they were at a cabana around the pool. The meet went wonderfully. It went very
I didn't want to toot my own horn, but yes, the meet went.
Did you have other athletes?
We did have
in addition
a
to
visiting
Otters?
team. Mm-hmm. Southwest was out with us. I don't remember how many athletes they brought. I think it was like 30 or 40 athletes that they brought. But yeah, the meet went really well. I was really impressed at how the team has grown from when I was a coach. Overall, I think it went really good.
How many
And just
total?
the whole area just looks so nice. It was set up really great. So once they get done with that, it's just going to look even better.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
very exciting.
We have currently signed up 72 athletes for the Otters. We've got 3 more meets. I think the next meet is next week on Tuesday, and then we've got another meet on Saturday here, and then the final meet I think is on a Monday. So
And that in itself, just being able to host meets here is very cool.
Mhm.
It's very good for the community.
Who is the coach for the Otters? That's what I'm
You're looking at him. Jonah saved us.
yeah,
Okay.
our coach had the falling out, and she was not able to be our coach, so it was kind of a last minute situation. And who better than somebody who's already done it,
I
right?
didn't even
So-
have to ask. I had already accepted the job before I had to beg.
Yeah, they called me and they said, we're not going to be able to make the tryouts or the meeting. And I was like, well, let me look at my calendar and make sure I clear everything. So, so far, my pleasure. It has been a real interesting situation. I did not think I was going to pull my shirts back out and put my swim trunks on and be here at work, in swim trunks again. But hey, it is what it is. Pool, we have full operation starting the week of June 7th. Again, it's still in here just so that we don't forget, but tree replacements at both Lions Park and the Garden of Roots, fall of 2026.
Is there there's not irrigation in the back of Garden of Roots, right?
There is some, but we're kind of limited on the irrigation that we can even do currently on the soccer fields.
Really, still?
hmm
Is it a scheduling?
A lot of it has to do with the permit. A lot of it has to do with the permit. They can. My understanding is they cannot divert water back into the pond anymore, so we're solely reliant on the level of the pond. So.
Who do we need? Do we need to make more recommendations or motions?
Yeah. Well, there are meetings that are being had on what's going to happen. Yeah. So.
Oh, at council.
Is that something we need to review like next time or wait?
I would say let's wait and see how these meetings fare, and then we can go from there. Because again, I think I think it was Mayor at the last meeting talked about some money coming into the Park Special Project Fund from developments. Maybe we can offset some of that cost with those funds, but we'll see. Reservation report for May. Regional Park volleyball courts. We had 8 bookings. No soccer fields. 1 amphitheater. All of our area rentals. We had 12 in total. Pavilions 28 in total. Tables 23. City pool parties or city pool parties 51. RV park bookings 39, and then 10 camping 7. Work orders. 129 parks work orders and 17 facilities, a total of 146 work orders for the month. Here's a couple of pictures. There was a transportation day at the the First Baptist Church. So myself and the crew leader went. We took over the backhoe, bobcat, and mower. The kids were very happy. And then we've got pictures of our first meet from this past weekend. And then here are the minutes for the Friends meeting, and they're on item 9, request from Jonah for guidance on recommendations, revisions of the community center policy, addressing decorations and alcohol. Motion by Helen, seconded by Desiree, votes yay unanimously. I do have one more item, and it's going to kind of go back up to my community center update. So the doors that are currently on the community center are already showing issues, the exterior doors. And some of it has to do with a delamination, I guess, when they manufacture them. They're supposed to be solid wood doors. And I guess the manufacturer did not send solid wood doors. So we have the option to either find a solid wood door that we would like to match what's currently there, or with our luck, and how solid and how doors are doing one here at City Hall, Steinbach, Beer House, stuff like that. We could always go with a metal door. And I have some samples here. They are metal doors. They have a wood grain finish to it. The color is slightly off. I only brought 3, but of these colors, is there a preference that the board has? So that way I can keep going that route. And then 2, it's going to come down to the community center doors for the exterior have a double pane. Some of them have a double pane on the top, and then they have just panels. I'm sorry?
Like the bevel rectangle that's in
Mm-hmm. So they've got the 2 panels on the bottom that are the beveled wood, and then they've got 2 glass panels on top. This company only makes a half door glass. I don't know if anybody really cares if it's half glass or if we want that double door, and I'll pull them up and we'll show you all. But
It's funny that you're bringing this up because I've run past it and I looked at the doors and I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, they're gonna have to be repainted or something like.
So that's kind of one thing that we've been looking at. So this one right here shows just kind of imagine on the left side where this meeting room is at, a half glass, and then currently, I'll pull it up real quick.
We get our money back.
The contractor is going to cover the cost of this.
Okay.
This is not a city's issue.
Great,
This
let's
is
do it.
Are the posts going to be stained?
no, the cedar posts will not be stained initially.
It's gonna go gray.
They're gonna stay as is, and then we can add later on. So me see.
Because they'll just turn gray since they're cedar. unless
Correct.
they're steel or something.
Can we come take a tour, Jonah?
Absolutely. You just let me know when. So this is not the best picture, but you see here you've got the 2 panes on both sides with a piece of wood in the middle, and you've got the beveled on the bottom. So I don't know if it's really going to make a difference whether they're half doors or if we want to match this, but it's totally up to you all. I think the consensus so far is we'd like to kind of switch over to metal, especially if we can match a wood grain, just because it's going to cut down on maintenance and future costs.
You'll just have to clean them. Is all.
We will.
The same effect though.
That's the thing. The only caveat is that they do not make it with the double pane.
It's just one.
It's just one.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
just one.
that's not, yeah, that's not a big deal.
It's a one solid.
Oh,
And I'll pull it. I'll pull it up too right now. So essentially, this is kind of what it is. Don't look at the bottom glass because we're not getting
That
bottom
would be
glass.
full. It would just be the
It would
top.
be half glass, and this is the door here.
Does that have to be approved by the historic preservation, whatever they are?
HLC?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have that stain on there, whatever stain, whatever color we're looking at. But it would be a half glass door, not a double window.
You always put those little fakey things in.
We could.
And that, like what they were supposed to do down here.
We could absolutely. You're very right. We could look at trimming them out to where they have that same look.
And then that way you still get the effect, but,
Hmm.
but will the bottom look like this?
Yes, it'll be a stain. It'll be a stained wood.
Well,
Or
I know-
this
I know
stain.
a stained wood, but it'll look like little panels at the bottom.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then I believe some of the other doors, like the restrooms, have these.
Yeah.
So we can match the same thing.
That'll be nice.
So okay, easy enough. That's kind of one of the biggest things that we've been kind of working through right now. But yeah.
I didn't even know they did metal wood grain. That's nice.
Well, that's all I have.
So if
I
you-
will.
You need approval on that?
No. I kind of just wanted to get a consensus if there was a darker. I think everybody's going with the darker just to match what's already there. But no, I don't need approval. I just wanted to make sure everybody was
It's
okay
usually
with.
like less yellow too in the darker.
Yeah. Well, I
'Cause
thought.
you don't want it to look like this.
Yeah, and this is Cabernet, and this is like too red,
Yeah.
very too red. So I wish this Java was darker, slightly darker, but beggars can't be choosers. So I will send you all my update, my report, my monthly report with the additional plans, the revised plans.
And that takes us to 6C. The next regular meeting is July the 1st. Will we have 3 people? Also, I have asked people if they wanted to join the board, but
Any bites?
not any
Nothing?
bites yet. So
I mentioned it today too.
I guess we could email soccer and baseball again.
Okay.
Maybe I could do that.
I'm fine for July 1st.
Yeah, we have to. Try first.
I have a few things. We wanted to go over the park rules because the hiking trail rules, and we just need to kind of look at it annually. We missed those last year. So we can review those again. And if there's anything else, please let me know. I think that's it. Any other comments?
I know that, Josh had said that they wanted to do another, spay and neuter clinic down at Regional Park, but it won't be until August.
Okay.
But, anyway, Nipton is gonna help sponsor it, so.
Do they bring the,
They bring the lady from the,
it's mobile basically?
yeah, it's a mobile unit,
Okay.
and they do dogs, cats, wellness, shots, everything. Yeah. So pretty much an all.
That's a good service.
Mhm. Yes, but that's not until August.
Thought there was something else.
What's it cost?
she gave me the rundown, and I have it here. I mean, and it's a good deal. I mean, yeah, our cost is not a good deal. She didn't get much of a break, the lady that does this.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's 22.
That was good.